Hey everyone! In this video, I'll demonstrate how you can use data validation to simplify data entry on your worksheets, as well as ensuring that all data is consistent and entered correctly. So what is data validation? Data validation is a feature in Excel that allows you to specify what type of information is permitted in a specific cell. For example, if you have a field that displays a first name, you can use data validation to ensure that only text can be entered in that field. Alright, let's look at some examples. I've got a worksheet for a fictional car dealership, Lemon Motors. As you can see, it has a number of data types that would be typical of a car dealership. And if you look even closer, you can see some inconsistencies in the information. This is where we can use data validation to save the day. In the first example, I'll look at the year column. Ultimately, I like to have all the years entered as 4 digits. However, in our data, we can see a couple of entries that they know what they mean, 2016 and 1999, but for the sake of data consistency and any potential issues with respect to reporting, we need to make sure that future entries are correctly formatted. First, I'm going to click on the Data tab in the ribbon, and then highlight the Year column. Next, I'll click on Data Validation, and then click on the first option, Data Validation. In the settings, it displays the validation criteria, and currently it shows as allowing any value. I'm going to change this to a whole number, and immediately the list of options below changes. Currently the data option is set to between. For our purposes, and assuming this car dealership doesn't have any cars older than 1950, I will change the data option from between to greater than or equal to. Once again, as soon as I made a change, the fields below changed as well. Now there is only one remaining field left, which is called minimum. This is the lowest value that should be accepted in this field. I will enter 1950 as the oldest model year that this cell will accept. In the data validation pop-up, we can see that there are 2 more tabs, Input Message and Error Alert. Let's investigate. In the Input Message tab, I can add a bit of instructions for the field. This is helpful if others use this worksheet as well. For the title, I'm going to enter year. For the input message, I will add a message stating that the year must be 1950 or later. Next, let's check out the Error Alert tab. This is how we can customize the error message that appears if the data doesn't match our criteria for the cell. The first option is Style, the first one is Stop, and below it is a stop icon. The second option is Warning, which features a yellow warning icon. And the third option is Information, which has a blue info icon. Let's choose this one. For the title, I will use Year again. And for the error message, I'll put in an appropriate message. You don't have to do the steps with the input message or error alerts, but I find they are very helpful if the worksheet is used by others. It gives them easy to understand guidance on the type of information that is required for the cells. I'll click OK. I'll begin by highlighting a cell and we see a message, Year, 1950 or later. Now I should let you know that if you've applied data validation to existing data, it's not going to correct any entries that don't meet your criteria. For the entry that has 16 in it, I'm going to try and re-enter the value of 16 and click Enter. Immediately a pop-up appears with the title Year and the message we entered previously. I'll click OK to close the pop-up. You'll see that the value of 16 is showing despite it not being valid information, so it's not really stopping us from putting in bad information. However, there's another data validation trick that we can use to highlight bad information. I'm going to click on the area between the column and row labels to highlight the entire worksheet, and then I'm going to go back to data validation. This time I'll click on Circle Invalid Data. And look at that, there are circles around our problematic entries. However, the column heading Year is highlighted as well. This is because when we applied the rule to the entire column, the word year is not a number greater than or equal to 1950. To fix this, I'll click on the Year heading, go back to Data Validation, and open up the Data Validation options. I will click on the Clear All button on the bottom left. Since I only highlighted the heading cell, removing the data validation rules only applies to that one cell. I will test this by circling the Invalid Data option again, and now we can see the heading isn't circled. I will now fix the remaining cells. Now let's turn our attention to the brand column. We can see that there's a typo for Ford and 2 different variations of Chevrolet. I think it would be much easier if we had a drop-down list with the brands so that the user simply has to select the entry they would like. This would eliminate spelling errors and different references to the same brand. To begin, I need to create a source list of brands that I'd like to have as options on our drop-down list. I'll scroll over to the right and begin typing the brands in a column. Ford, Chevrolet, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Kia. This is my source list for the drop-down list. Now I will highlight the brand column. I'll select data validation and then data validation once again. This time for the allow value, I will choose list. Next I will click on the arrow next to the source field, which shrinks up the data validation pop-up so that I can select my source data. I will highlight the brand list I created and click enter. And now, if I click on one of the values in the brand column, I see a drop-down list. I can now easily fix the brand data. And if you wanted to make the drop-down lists even easier for your worksheet users, you can list them alphabetically. I'll highlight my brand list, and in the Data tab, I will select the Sort A to Z option. My source list is now alphabetized. And if I click on one of the drop-down lists in the brand column, we can see that the drop-down list has been updated. Like in our previous example, our validation has been applied to our heading. I can quickly fix this by highlighting the heading and then clearing the validation like we did previously. Some of you may not like seeing the source brand list on your main worksheet. There's an easy solution for this. I'll highlight the brand list and click Ctrl+X to delete it. I will then add a new worksheet and click on any cell in it and click Ctrl+V to paste the list in the worksheet. Now when I go back to the main worksheet, the drop-downs still work, and there isn't a random list of brands just off to the side. As you can see, using data validation is a great way to make sure all information entered fits your criteria and is entered accurately. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks again and have an excellent day.